Hey guys, Bobby Bollinger here, and today I'll be bringing you a new series called Hot Takes. Now, I'm gonna make this series, and what it's about is I'll recap the games I saw on Sunday, or, you know, Thursday or Monday, whichever days I saw it on. I don't get ESPN, so Monday's off. So, first things first, well, I'll do the games I saw and one more. Because I'm in an area where we will get every single Colts game, and at some point, I think we're both going to get tired of recapping the Colts in every single video, saying what I think about them. I don't think that's going to be interesting for all of 16 weeks, so into it I'll add another game that I didn't watch, but I was still interested in. So, first off was the one everyone watched, Chiefs versus Patriots. And ooh, was I so happy to see Brady get destroyed, playing like the 40-year-old man he is. Ooh, I felt good. And it's obvious why he wasn't playing well, because, for one, yeah, Edelman's gone. That sucks for him a lot. Also, he doesn't seem to be working too well with his current cast of receivers, like his new weapons. And I can understand that with Philip Dorsett, who they just got like 3 days before the game. I can see why he'd be mistiming some of the stuff to him, missing shots to him. But for Brandon Cooks, who's been there pretty much the entire offseason, there's no excuse. That is on Brady and Cooks. I don't know why. They they just can't connect. Also, Gronk was exceptionally silent in that game. At first it was because Eric Berry was covering him, but he did not make any noise even after Berry went down. So it's kind of hard to say that, like, I don't know if Gronkowski is any good anymore. Like, he might just be injured from now on. Just not his old self, and that would really suck. Like, you already lost Edelman, so if Gronkowski becomes pretty much useless, ooh, you're out of options. Meanwhile, the Chiefs wrecked with Kareem Hunt and Alex Smith. Kareem Hunt, like 148 yards running, like 50 some receiving, I think, and a touchdown for both categories. That was pretty good. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to miss their old running back at all. So the Chiefs have a good thing going for them at running back. Will it be 148 yards every single game? No, I seriously doubt it. But, even if he can do half of that, he'll be a 1,000 yard runner every single game. Well, every game, oh god. Every season. Meanwhile, Alex Smith felt the fires of Patrick Mahomes breathing down his neck, and he stepped up. Like, in preseason, they didn't really show Smith doing any big shots. So what I saw in preseason was guys who were the same in quality. Now, Alex Smith is definitely the starter. Mahomes can certainly be a future, but until then, Alex Smith's got it covered for him. I will say, I'm not sure how well the Chiefs are going to be doing from now on defensively, because Eric Berry being down really sucks for them. Alright, next game I watched was Falcons versus Bears. Yeah, not a really hyped up match, but it ended up being one of the. You know what? It did end up being the best of the week. because it came down to literally the last play. The Bears nearly stole it from the Falcons. Like, if it hadn't been for drops and a little bit of quarterback inaccuracy, the Bears win that game. And both Super Bowl teams from last year start off 0-1, but the Falcons were lucky and pulled it off. Now, how did the Bears put up such a good fight? Well, for starters, last year they also put up a really good fight against the Texans, so I think they're just good at season openers to begin with. But what really helped them crunch down the Falcons and nearly get the win was the running game. In addition to Jordan Howard, they also have a second running back whose job is pretty much best described as Tyreek Hill. He's a guy who can be a good running back, but he's also pretty good at wide receiver too. And while I don't think that should ever really be your main running back, because it's just too inconsistent, having one of those around is a very good thing for a team. And I think the double running back attack, with one guy being more of a receiver, scat back, and one guy just being Mr. Consistency, I think that's a really powerful combination. And the Bears are gonna ride it to their grave. Meanwhile, for the quarterback situation, I mean, Mike Glennon wasn't bad, but he's the kind of good enough at quarterback that isn't actually quite good enough. Like, could he lead them to the playoffs if the defense is right? Yeah. But he is not a Super Bowl quarterback. Usually, I'm of the opinion that it has more to do with the team than the quarterback. But at some point, I have to say, yeah, it's the quarterback. And Mike Glennon, he also doesn't have any receiving options, which is another part of it. But I don't think Mike Glennon's the answer. And listening to the commenters yesterday, there was no reason to give him $45 million. Not at all. Now, that's not a ton, but you could have got him for a lot less, trust me. Meanwhile, Mitch Trubisky is standing on the sidelines watching him and thinking, I'm the first quarterback taken in this draft. There is a second rounder starting before me. That's gotta be a little bit disheartening, but it probably is for the best. Especially when I didn't trust Mitch Trubisky coming out of the draft, but he's shown himself decently in preseason. Anyway, Bears defense, I do think it's underrated. Is it perfect? No, but last season I thought it was underrated, and this season it's probably also going to be underrated. So the Bears, I think they're fairly decent. Like, they aren't a laughingstock kind of team, but when you put them up against teams like the Falcons, that's what's going to happen. Also, on the Falcons side, the offense is more mixed, but it also seems to be, it's weird. Like, I don't think the offense is as good as it was last year. That was my assumption heading into the season. And while it is week 1, and people will say that, I think you can trust the tendencies in week 1. And what it tells me is the Falcons are a more conservative offense this year. Defensively, not much to really brag about. You shut down the Bears' passing game. Congratulations. But they also got destroyed by the Bears' running game. And that's because their defense focuses on speed. And that's good against other high-octane offense teams, but when you meet grindy teams, that sucks. Like, if you focus on speed, you will lose against the run. Every time. Anyway, next game I watched was painful. Very painful. I watched Colts vs. Rams. Oh, we need luck. We need a lot of luck. Now, I will say on the tendency part of things, I think Colts defense has improved quite a bit. They were getting pressure on Jared Goff a lot. They were stopping the running back in the backfield a lot. So I think Colts defense has improved. Offensively, yeah, we need luck. We absolutely need him. This team hinges on luck. We used to hinge on Manning this year. Now, we hinge on luck. It's just our thing, I guess. As for the quarterback situation, Scott Tolzien was the proper pick to go into the game. But I think going into the rest of the pre-Andrew Luck era, we're going to want to use Jacoby Brissett just because we can't play conservative at the quarterback position and expect to win. It's just not going to happen for us. Our team's not that good. So we have to take a chance there if we want Luck to inherit a team that isn't 0-6. Meanwhile, on the Rams, they really impressed me. Like, even if Luck did play in that game, I think the Rams still would have won it. Wouldn't have been a blowout, but the Rams would have won it just because it looked so much like they were on the warpath. I mean, they were extremely impressive. Jared Goff especially, he took leaps and bounds from last year. Like, last year, he wouldn't have played that well, I guarantee it. He wouldn't. And I didn't write him off completely after last season. Because, as a Colts fan, Manning's first season didn't go too well either. So I know you don't lose complete faith after one season. And Jared Goff looks better. Meanwhile, Todd Gurley, running game, considering who he went against, that's not very impressive. And the Rams' offensive line, it still looks kind of shaky. But I do think that has more to do with Colts improving than the Rams still sucking. I still almost guarantee the Rams are in the bottom half of the league for offense. But that is going to be made up for by one special thing, and that's the defense. Oh my god. That defense is insane. In the back of my mind this whole offseason when I thought of the Rams, it was like, Wade Phillips coached the Broncos defense. Now he's with the Rams. The Rams defense has to get a lot better. And I kept saying that to myself in the predictions, like, should I give them the playoffs? Because I don't trust their offense to do that, but with the way they played with Wade Phillips, I think the tendency is going to be that's not too abnormal for them. And you might be thinking, yeah, the Rams got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They stopped the running back. It's the Colts O-line. Of course they did. But the Rams didn't have Aaron Donald. And that happens to be one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. So I think they're going to be a terrifying defense. Absolutely. Quite possibly becoming the best in the league. So, just on the backs of an defense with a conservative, don't screw it up offense, I think the Rams could make the playoffs, and if Wade Phillips' Broncos were any indication, they can make a Super Bowl. Of course, I can't predict that yet. I won't even say playoffs yet, because week 1, but that's pretty good, Rams. You beat us. You beat us bad. Anyway, final game, Giants-Cowboys. My boys, they won. Hooray. I'm glad to see Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott doing well. I'm glad to see Ezekiel Elliott doing well. I noticed when he did his feed me thing, he didn't look the same doing it as he did last year. Like, it was a more slow and dark feed me than it was before. Last year, it was more energetic. This year, I think he's out for revenge on Goodell. I think he's a little pissed. And he did so very well. And he did get help from his offensive line. Of course he did. It's the best, probably the best O-line in football. He's going to get help there, but he was against a divisional rival who probably is going to have one of the best defenses in the NFL as far as we can tell, so those are impressive numbers for him. They really are. Defensively, whew, they got to that quarterback a lot. But I do think that has more to do with the Giants just not having an O-line. And that's really bad for him because, in my experience, a Manning needs an O-line. Badly. Like, not even a great O-line. An O-line. That exists. Giants, they don't have any, so they didn't even really try to run the ball either, the Giants. They just kind of threw it all over the place, and props to their defense for pretty much playing 3/4 of that game. That's why I say that is an amazing defense. And the extra game that I saw that I was interested in this week was Browns versus Steelers. Purely, for DeShone Kizer. And that's basically all I paid attention to. Now, I noticed, though, that there was a blocked punt in the end zone that was recovered by the Steelers for a touchdown. So that's 7 points. If that doesn't happen, which usually it won't, the Steelers have 7 less points in a game they won by 3. So the Browns were that close, just a little stroke of luck away from beating the Steelers in week 1, of course. Now, what I noticed is DeShone Kizer, did he do a great job, a phenomenal job? No. Did he do a terrible job, though? No. And when you consider that he doesn't have a receiver, there are definitely big signs of hope for him. Also, while I did predict that game wrong, I made my prediction before Myles Garrett got hurt. And losing your team's starting pass rusher, I think that's worth about 3 points, don't you? So the Browns were that close to winning. I was that close to being right on the 2 biggest upsets of the week, I'm sure. But, oh well. Week 1, what's you gonna do? So, that's it for today. Get it?